In this one, we've installed a new signal, we've finished the platforms, we've printed some station signage and turned the lights on, and also ran a couple of trains. It's all in this one. Hi, welcome back to Chadwick Model Railway. I'm Charlie, and as you can see, it's a blue day, which means there must be some glue and some paint involved somewhere. But we're going to kick off with signals, and then we're going to go on to sorting out these platforms and a little bit on printing your own signs for your own stations. Now here is my latest acquisition, which is a lovely little signal, as usual, from Absolute Aspects. So how does it fit in to the current layout? Our 2-car DMU is now in the branch line station, and its signal changes on platform 2 to allow it to run down to Chadwick Parkway. And as you can see, we've also got a green signal, the one that protects the viaduct, and also a red signal which blocks the traffic from the helix. And so our little DMU will run down these tracks. That green will go to red, and as we can see, the new signal is indicating green with a feather for platform 3. I've yet to complete the logic here. There's a bit of wiring to be done to get that signal to go straight to red once the DMU is passed through, but it's a great little signal. Now, on the subject of signals, let me take you to the eastern end of Chadwick Parkway to platforms 2 and 3. Now, you may recall from the previous video that I was toying with the signals in this area, in as much as coming out of platform 3 you'd have a 3-aspect signal here, and then perhaps some kind of a gantry to control the trains coming out of platform 2 and the fast up line. Also another 3-aspect signal to go in this area here to guard this junction from traffic from the freight yard. And finally, in this area here, my desire for a double banner repeater signals, because the trains coming out of here can't see the next signal due to the severity of this bend. So I made this little mock-up with this old dapple gantry and a ruler, and took some photographs and sent them on to Tom down at Absolute Aspects for him to go through my thought process and perhaps come up with another alternative, or perhaps even agree with my sort of strategy. Of course, a great deal can be lost in conversation and phone calls and so on and so forth. So what Tom has kindly done is he's put together this PDF. And here we can see drawings for the straight 3-aspect signal for the freight line. We can also see the signal gantry assembly, to which he's amended to show that we'll have the one gantry with 3-aspect signals. So platforms 2, platforms 3 and the fast up will all be on the same gantry, which will clearly simplify the wiring. And finally, we can see his render of my proposed double banner repeater. Marvellous. Now I can look at these because of their complexity, approve or ask him to amend and send them back. So Tom, you'll be pleased to know that these are all good to go, and I'm extremely grateful. And perhaps if you need something on a more complex signal basis, drop Tom an email and see how you get on. Well worth looking into. Now here's a question that you might be able to help me with, and it's to do with platform numbering. Because people have said that once you get out of the cities into the sort of countryside, then such as this station here with platforms 1, 2 and 3, that platform 1 would always be the London bound platform, and in my case platform 1 is on the down line. So should I just renumber my platforms? Because that would make platform 2 platform 1, then platform 2 would be the existing platform 3, and then 1 would become 3. Yeah, I think you know what I mean. I just need to renumber them so that logically platform 1 will lead to London. What are your views? Do you have a platform 1 running to London near you? Please leave a comment down in the comment section. So now we'll continue with the station build, and in particular the the first thing to look at is these lights, which I just drilled and popped into place last time out. Because it has been mentioned that they're actually too tall, and using a scale ruler, they come in at around about 16.5 feet. Now, looking back at the lights at Weymouth Station, I reckon these are around about 10 feet. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm simply going to drill this out so that we can sink the light down to the bottom of the platform level, and that will give me a scale height of around about 11 feet, and hopefully you can see that it is much more acceptable. Now, one thing I did do yesterday was I installed a sort of buffer stop at the end of platform 3. I'm unsure exactly why I've done it this way, because when I think back, I have never seen a bay platform buffer stop with actually buffers where there's a hard end. If there's a proper buffer stop, normally they're still not spring-loaded buffers, so clearly I need to take these buffers off, and this cross piece, this member here, needs to be painted red and sort of represented by a piece of timber going across. Of course, it will need some kind of a light. Now, some time ago I bought a pack of these red lamps from DCC Concepts, and they're described as loco lamps, but my intention is to use them sort of back in the late 60s as a light to go on top of that buffer. Now, I find very often that buffer lights are too bright, so if I can attach this light and show you how bright this is, because they're actually very subtle. There we go. Right, bear with me, it's fiddly. And there, hopefully you can see the intensity of this little red lamp, which is ideal for a buffer stop. This seems an ideal opportunity to ask if you're a subscriber, and if you're not, come on, give something back. Clearly I need a hole for the buffer lamp cables to run through. Now, threading this light and super gluing it into place is clearly a real challenge, but hopefully we've got it. Yep, there we are, lovely, not too bright. And that takes me on to the next tedious task, which is painting the Board of Trade white line along the platform edge, and I've masked it off using Tamiya 6mm masking tape. Painting about 10 foot of white stripe on these platforms isn't actually as exciting as you might think. And don't forget, when it comes to stripping off the tape, pull it away from the paint. Otherwise you could well peel the paint back. There we are, entirely adequate. Well, it's that kind of time to glue it all down, and as usual I'm using sticks like a product by EvoStick. I always do my gluing when I'm wearing my blue tops, and as you can see from the mess where I've cleared out the nozzle, I mean it really is awful stuff, but it's oh god, it sticks like it's awful, but there we go. it's what you want it to do. So I should put some of this down, lay this back down, and put some weights upon it. I just might clean my hands first, actually. No, I think they're good. Right, and here are the cables from that buffer stop, and I'll put a bit of tape around them, and I can drop those down through the hole as I lower it down, put the weights on, and yeah, wish me luck. So in for a penny, in for a pound, I suppose. We don't really need it all along every sort of section. But certainly at the ramps. And if I use a scraper just to spread it around a little bit to help it bed in. A big lump there. That was lucky. And I have a Mark III coach and the usual DMU on standby so that when I lower it all down I can test it with those pieces of rolling stock. Let me just pull those cables. So I can test it with those pieces of rolling stock. To make sure we are in the right place, and that hopefully is right. Let me get on top. And we're good. And finally, hell, we are close. That's better. Right. And then weight it down. And hopefully we're good to go. Now, I did mention in the last video about a Chadwick Parkway sign for the Chadwick Parkway station, and unlike this sort of totem here in the background, I wanted it in a conventional BR 1960s 1970 font. Now I was quite surprised at how many people came through and I said, oh well Charlie, I'll give you a hand with this, I can send you some, we can do this, we can do that. And I thought to myself, well, actually, no, I'll use a bit of the old grey matter and see if I can sort it out myself. Now, I must thank Brian, because Brian sent me the fonts to start with, which enable you to do it. Now, if you're into this, I will produce a video in the future. But in the meantime, The fonts are available on the More tab of my page. So if you go to one of my later videos, you click on the More tab, you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll find a tab there marked Chadwick Videos Spreadsheet, and my thanks go to Ron Ventura for that, because he's updated it every time I bring a video out. He produces a new spreadsheet and it's searchable by topic. It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, beneath there you'll find the two British Rail fonts and the Chadwick font. Now if you click on those you can view them and download them, but at this stage I'm not going to go into any greater detail, because I think the easiest way to do it is to take it through stage by stage and make a video dedicated to how to produce your own signage using these fonts. Now, whilst the glue is still curing on the platform side, I thought I'd take a look at the lights that I suggested last week from Layouts for You. And if you can notice, this light comes with like a base plate on it. So we don't really want to drill a big hole in the platforms to allow that plate to go through. So naturally all I've done is snipped off the base plate and then taken a file to it. So hopefully we should be able to use a smaller drill and then we'll get less slack on the platform. Now clearly the skill drilling these out is keeping the drill vertical, but also not allowing the chuck to smack into the platform. If only these drills had a sort of a spirit level on the top. I have cleared underneath. And if I pull the cables from underneath, and we're after 10 feet, which here we are. And now with 4 in place, if we pop a ruler on the top, we can see that this one's just a smidge high. I think that's good enough. And there's the little Chadwick Parkway sign held in place with a little bit of double-sided sellotape. But you get the general feel of it. And the final touches on the platforms using Gorilla wood glue is just those last couple of ramps. And we are good to go. Lovely. And as you can see, I extended the paving down to the end, and then obviously once this lot's in and ballast, then we will lose all this kind of ambiguity around here. And the main thing here is, of course, we have clearance for our signal to absolute aspects of building to come across these 3 tracks. Now here's my printed copy of my station signage, and I've printed it on glossy photo paper, but my printer is nothing special. It's not as if I've got a big LaserJet printer or anything. And if you want to print this out yourself and then amend your station where I've put Chadwick Parkway in the various boxes, then please feel free to do so. Again, go to the More tab, you'll find the 3 links at the bottom, the 2 BR fonts and to this document here. However, to get to this one, you will need to be a subscriber. Hey, there we go. So how many signs do we need on our station? because, you know, we can put them on every lamppost or whatever. Well, let's go back to Weymouth and look for a reference. And as you can see here, the Weymouth sign is on every other lamppost. Marvellous, now we have some guidance. But moving on from these little lights here, because these ones are pretty nifty. But you can see that they light both sides of the platform. Well, if you've only got one side of the platform, what are we to do? I mean, because I need a, you know, with just an L-type lamppost, but I can't find any, not of this same design. So should we use these at the other end of the platform and just turn them sideways, leave them that way, or try to source something else? Well, I'll ask you for some advice and see what you think, because I can't seem to find any of these in a similar design, like say lighting up on just the one side. Right, let's run some trains. Now we're well used to seeing our little 2-car passenger DMU trundling to and from the branch line station down towards Chadwick Parkway. But today, waiting in the wings is a little freight train destined for the upper freight yard. Well, today we have a reverse livery Pullman destined for Chadwick Parkway. And it's just in time for it to pick up the passengers from our local shuttle. The local shuttle moves off, and once it's clear, of course, our Pullman can get on its way. Now, if you prefer a little run-in session at the end of my videos, then please let me know down in the comments section. And if you've enjoyed the video, then obviously please give it a thumbs up, because that's what the algorithm likes. Now, I'd like to thank the people who support the channel. That's the patrons, because they pay a couple of £2 a month. Obviously, they get the video a day earlier than everyone else with no advertisements. And if you're not a subscriber, there's a button and please become a subscriber. Anyway, there's a video here that's ideally suited for you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks a lot, take care, bye bye.